So I'm here in my office alone. Marvin is not on the other Zoom line with me. And I have a video that I want to make here because I want to use share screen. I think will be illuminating for many of you, and the majority of people who see this probably are not going to like this video, especially if you're coming here from a Sammy Ingram channel recommendation or what have you. I want to just point out a few things that are really common in this law of assumption space, this manifesting space, in regards to marketing and the kind of bypassing, spiritual bypassing that we see all the time. And I'm going to focus on just, Sammy today, really briefly, in the sense of I saw one of her recent videos, and it says, the title of the video is "Manifesting Your Specific Person is So Easy. This is how to manifest your SP fast." And this is, a great clickbait title. It's also completely untrue. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a big fan of a lot of what Sammy talks about. I think that she connects the idea of using affirming as a way to manifest what you want in a very interesting way that links up with what Emil Coué talked about in terms of using conscious autosuggestion to change your life. So I think Sammy is one of the more interesting creators in the law of assumption space that's out there. The problem is it's a total cult, the way that she presents her stuff, and it's so sensationalistic. So this video really, I'm sorry, is not going to be about Sammy. It's going to be about what Sammy and this law of assumption community and this law of attraction community, manifesting community at large, often presents itself as being. If you read these comments, I was actually going to read a comment that someone deleted, probably Sammy or one of her minions, just saying, is there anyone here who's not a paid testimonial or a bot? And Sammy pinned that, which was brilliant. Sammy's really good at doing stuff like that. She said, comment if you're not a bot. And I think that's been deleted. Anyway, it was a very inappropriate comment for someone to say that. And I probably would have deleted that if someone said that on my channel, because it's just inappropriate. But what happened is the people ended up gaslighting this woman who made the initial comment. I think it was a woman. And the woman ended up saying, I feel like I'm teetering on the brink of insanity. Basically, I've been robotically affirming for 6 months. And then she was continued to be gaslit and being told it was her problem, that she creates her own reality. This is the kind of space, guys, that the law of assumption communities like Sammy's fosters, that kind of toxic atmosphere. These comments here, guys, are fucking insane, a lot of them. And here's the thing. Here's what people are not going to want to hear. I wanted you to see my mug. Manifesting your SP is not so easy. It's not fucking easy. Marv and I had that great conversation with Agnes the other day. I'll put a link above to that if you missed it. And we were just talking about how this self-work is lifelong work, and it's very humbling. And when it's me-centered, I'm first best type of affirmations or statements you're making, it means you got a lot of work to do usually. And that's what Sammy's channel and so many of these other popular law of assumption channels are about. It's being, first best, me first best. And you sound like a little fucking child, spoiled child, when you affirm like that for very long, guys. Manifesting an SP is about love. It's about understanding. It's about givingness. It's not about taking and they have to conform to my reality. robotically affirming can get you your romantic interest back for a couple days or a couple weeks or maybe a couple of years. You can try to manipulate them. You can affirm and assert to get something that maybe you shouldn't really want to have if it isn't appropriate. I'm not denying that Sammy's right about all that stuff. What I am denying is that she's right when saying it's truly easy to be a loving, romantic partner just by affirming something over and over again, especially if you have a first best mentality. It don't work like that. Don't work like that. Show me proof. Show me proof of it working. It's not these comments. Sammy and her minions delete comments that are negative, guys. That whole channel is it's curated in a way to present there not being any dissonance. Dissonance is not allowed. The truth is not allowed to come out because it will take away from the money-making machine that it is. It will be seen as being too negative. And even someone like Tom Karen, Be Something Wonderful, I'm like, he says, oh, I don't accept comments that don't come from love on my channel. I've heard him say that many times. And he's always posting glowing testimonials. That's marketing. I'm not sure if Sammy and people like Tom are doing that intentionally or not, but it's marketing. I'm going to read from Spiritual Bypassing by Robert Augustus Masters, which is a great book. If you're here for Sammy stuff, you're about to be like, what the F is this guy talking about? This chapter, I'm not going to read all the chapter. I'm just going to read some points, some bitter medicine that's going to help you if you're ready to take it. I'm just going to read some of the main points that Masters writes about in this chapter called Spiritual Gullibility and Cultism. This applies to everything. It certainly applies to the law of attraction and law of assumption space on YouTube. And all these people marketing themselves under the guise of spiritual manifestation. There is such a glut of half-baked spiritual expertise in contemporary culture, such a surfeit of egos wrapped up in spiritual robes, such an abundance of shallowness and delusional masquerading as genuine spirituality, that it has become increasingly difficult to identify truly legitimate transformative practices. Our instant gratification society is particularly susceptible to promises of quick fix self-improvement, and this extends into the spiritual improvement realm where both cottage and corporate-sized industries flourish. Many of us who are otherwise quite rational and capable of critical thinking may find ourselves eager to escape the ongoing pain of our unresolved wounds and unmet needs through methods that promise to deliver us from our suffering as easily and magically as possible. If we are used to doubting ourselves, focusing too much on our own shortcomings and fears, we may find ourselves drawn to spiritual bypassing's more ambitious marketers and entrepreneurs who, exuding self-confidence and fearlessness, seductively market their teachings and supposed metaphysical gifts to the spiritually vulnerable. If we won't permit ourselves a healthy suspicion when we hear that an expert we're skeptical of is claiming to be a healer or Dharma teacher, we'll likely suppress our doubts and instead go along with the group's assertion that the person is a true healer or Dharma teacher, especially if many in our social circle are doing so. Or we might not raise a discriminating eyebrow after hearing someone's announcement of being enlightened. After all, how do we know their claim isn't true? And on it goes until we retrieve a healthy skepticism so that our spiritual and critical faculties can beneficially coexist. Because those of us prone to spiritual gullibility tend to confuse skepticism with cynicism, believing that trust in the world is a more ideal spiritual state, we may fail to exercise the necessary discernment in vetting those whose income or self-worth largely depends upon our spiritual gullibility. Our lack of discrimination here has the unfortunate effect of throwing together both the flaky and the genuine elements of contemporary spirituality. He goes on to write later in this chapter, there is such an abundance of spiritual gullibility in our culture that those who are drawn to take advantage of it will, more often than not, soon have a following, or at least a clientele that unquestioningly buys what is being sold, which tends to reinforce beliefs that they are someone very special with great untapped powers to be realized. The commodification of spirituality, with all its promises of a more spiritual you in an appealingly short time, has understandably attracted intense entrepreneurial interest. Those who market themselves to the spiritually gullible are not, for the most part, con artists, since they usually believe in themselves and what they are doing. They may even view their most blatant manipulations as no more than necessary steps in helping others heal. Just as unresolved wounds lead some people to seek quick fixes and to follow a powerful figure, other people deflect these wounds by making themselves into such a powerful figure that their wounds appear to be non-existent, and they may further reinforce this apparent immunity by encouraging a following that is more cult than community. Later on, he ends this chapter by saying, spiritual gullibility is a big business in our consumer-driven economy. We want it fast, whatever it is. Those who want our business know this well and advertise accordingly, counting our credulity, which typically gets framed as openness or receptivity. Their promises are often so outrageous, as exemplified by the "you can manifest whatever you want" selling points of positive thinking purveyors, that our unquestioned, even enthusiastic reception speaks of deep naivety infused with an understandable longing to have a better tomorrow with as little fuss or pain as possible. Spiritual gullibility constitutes not just a too naive openness, but also a regression, a dropping back into the pre-rational, magical thinking mode of childhood. This leaves us not childlike, but childish, opening not only our hearts and minds, but also our wallets indiscriminately, all the while thinking that we are getting the real deal. The antidote, however, is not to become suspicious or averse to spirituality and metaphysics, but rather to develop a keen sense of discernment that does not restrict our capacity to open to the world, making us capable of cult transcending relationship and community, able to give ourselves fully without giving ourselves away. Spiritual gullibility's slumbering innocence, when met with a discerning eye and perhaps also a fitting dose of fierce compassion, transforms into a wakeful, ever fresh, and unexploitable openness that realigns us with what really matters. So, I know some of you understood what I just read from that great book, Spiritual Bypassing. And that explains so much. That's what's going on with Sammy's channel. It's what's going on with a lot of these other channels, intentionally or unintentionally. You deserve better, and you can get it.